Francesca Loux is a Vita certified empowerment and intimacy coach, licensed psilocybin facilitator, and breathwork facilitator. She specializes in supporting women who desire to feel safe, confident, and radiant in their bodies, relationships, and sexuality. Francesca has a degree in psychology and women's and gender studies. In 2017, she left her corporate job to travel the world solo and pursue her passion for holistic healing. Prior to starting her coaching practice, she worked as a facilitator at a plant medicine retreat center in Peru and spent time studying breathwork and somatic and energy healing in Australia, New Zealand, and Bali. Francesca offers one-to-one and group coaching sessions, psilocybin journeys, and psychedelic preparation and integration sessions. She also hosts retreats and works locally and internationally. Hello, everybody. I'm so pleased to have here with me for a new episode on the Healer Hub podcast, Francesca. Hey, Francesca, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. It's so great to be here. Hi, everyone.
I'm so psyched about our discussion and about the fact that you have so many different interests and you are merging everything together in the way that you are supporting your clients. So before we dive deeper, I would love to know your story. How did you start doing what you are doing now?
Yeah, thank you. So, like you said, I do have some different modalities and different interests. And as I've been kind of going through my own healing journey and starting to support clients, there's been a part of me that's like, how is this all going to weave together? But at the same time, just kind of trusting and following the flow and really starting to weave it all together. So, as far as how my healing journey began, so it began about 8 years ago. And at that time, I was in a corporate job. I kind of had this lifestyle of, working Monday through Friday, party all weekend. And while it was satisfying for a while, I really had this calling, this feeling that there was more out there. And as so many of us do, went in search of answers. And that's when I first discovered ayahuasca. And after my first ceremonies, it just kind of all became clear to me that I needed to leave that job, leave my 6-year relationship, and get a one-way ticket to Peru. And so that's what I did. I went to Peru, started working at a plant medicine retreat center there. And from that point, it kind of just unfolded. I ended up traveling on and off for about 4 years. Along the way, just kind of learning new tools that supported me, breath work, tantra, somatic healing, and kind of through the ways that those supported me, becoming inspired to share those tools with others, begin my own practice with coaching. And then, as luck would have it, when I came back to Oregon, where I live now, right before the pandemic, I was kind of keeping an eye on the psychedelic healing fields and just happened to be living in the first state that has now legalized psilocybin for the purpose of healing journeys. And I have become licensed in that as one of the first licensed psilocybin facilitators here. And now really just starting to weave all of those together. To support others on their own journey as well.
I love it, and I journeyed with ayahuasca too, and it's really beautiful when I hear other people's stories because my experience was not really earth shattering. Like I didn't feel that anything major truly happened. But I'm always like really curious and really excited when I hear that a lot of people have this experience of before and after, like something became extremely clear and irrefutable, just like it was for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like there's so many different modalities and medicines out there. And of course, there's the timing of our own life and what's right for us now. And so I always feel like it's not always the right time and the right medicine for everyone. But when it is, it can be so magical and powerful.
Hmm. So, what does healing mean to you, and how are you helping people in their healing journey today?
Yeah. So I would say when it comes to healing, the type that I'm the most interested in, that's been supportive for me and also my clients, is a really deep and holistic type of healing where we look at and explore what's going on in the body, but also in the mind, in our energy field, and really across all different parts of ourselves as well. And when I started doing this, firstly through breath work as well as plant medicine, it really it was challenging at first because it's really counterintuitive to so much of what we learn in our society, which is, when we have pain, when we're uncomfortable, how can we numb that? How can we move away from that or pretend that it's not happening? And so really with these types of healing modalities, it's kind of first starting with ways that we can nurture ourselves, that we can ground ourselves and resource, and using that as a starting point. Because sometimes I feel like people, they dive straight in. They're like, we've got to heal this pain. We've got to feel this pain, let's get through it today. And that can be kind of the opposite of numbing and ignoring it. And both can not be the most helpful. So, I really support my clients, whether we're going to be doing breath work, whether I'm going to be facilitating a psilocybin journey, whatever we're doing, to start with how can I find the most simple but effective ways to feel resourced, to find inner safety within ourselves. And then from there, how can we start to explore, what's underneath? So how can we feel into the tension that's in our body and gently start to release that through breath and movement? How can we look at the limiting beliefs and the shadow parts of ourselves that we may have pushed down and been told were wrong or bad? And how can we reclaim those parts of ourselves and move into this place where we're whole, where we're not fighting against ourselves, where we're not fighting against our pain or our discomfort, and we're embracing that and allowing that to be felt in a resourced way, and then also reclaiming our inner empowerment too.
Hmm. So I'm curious about the. I'm laughing because I need to pronounce it now. So find the
Psilocybin.
resources to pronounce psilocybin. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the journeys that you are facilitating, are they microdosing? Are you microdosing or macrodosing? Are they circles or you work one-on-one with people? How does it look?
Yeah, definitely. So within it's really interesting, of course, because plant medicine and using psilocybin and different healing plants has been going on, as you know, for so long. And people have seen the benefits of these beautiful medicines. And now it's like we're taking this really ancient and powerful practice and kind of applying it to this legal lens of, how do we regulate this? What kind of safety mechanisms do we put into place, and how do we make sure that it's beneficial for a large amount of people, but also as safe as possible? And so right now there are guidelines and restrictions as far as dosage goes. So the highest dose, and basically the way that it works is instead of measuring in grams of the mushrooms, it has to do with the psilocybin content instead. And so the maximum dose that we can offer is 50 milligrams of psilocybin, which is roughly comparable to about 5 grams of mushrooms. So we can offer anything from a microdose up until that maximum dose. And so a lot of what I do with my clients is to prepare them. We never just kind of dive right into a facilitation, a journey. But the first part is really meeting with them. And a lot of the clients that I work with have never experienced psychedelics before at all. And seeing it in this kind of legal and above ground and regulated way is kind of the thing that gave them that extra bit of faith and trust to try it out. And so the first step is a preparation session where I really talk to them about, what drew you to this? What challenges are you facing? What are your intentions? And for example, if you're wanting to release anxiety and release, for example, hating your body, what's on the other side of that? What would your life look like once you do that? How would you want to feel? And so along that preparation journey, really finding out, what's going to be the dosage that is best for you. We don't necessarily need to give them the full amount, but what's going to give you that experience that's going to take you where you need to go. And a lot of times what I do with my clients and what I learned is this go slow approach, because we can always take more, but we can't necessarily take less. And so a lot of times what I'll do is to give them, about half of the maximum dose to begin with. And then let them feel that, let them be with the hop for about an hour or so, and then check in with them. And it's just so interesting. Everyone is different. Our bodies are different. The way we react is different. And for some, that's plenty. And then if they need more, I can also offer them a booster dose as well to kind of take them into that deeper space if they feel like they're needing that.
Hmm. And I'm curious, do you feel that, I imagine that already one session is enough to have this huge shift, or is it something that people do on a regular basis just to deepen and to get maybe more aspects integrated or healing, like what you mentioned, right? Body dysmorphia. I feel that this is something that so many people have been in different levels through. And it would be wonderful if after a session, people felt at ease and accepting and grateful for their bodies.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I feel like it is very unique to each person and their needs. Overall, I definitely like to share with people who work for me that it's not a magic cure. It's not a magic bullet where you take it and all of your life's problems go away. But what it is often, what it was for me, and what I tend to see happen during the sessions is that it is a way to open our minds, and it's a way to kind of take us out of the box of our daily thinking and the beliefs that we learned as children and growing up, and kind of give us this bigger or different or new perspective on things. So if we have these limiting beliefs that lead to these looping thought patterns that lead to different behaviors, just kind of a new perspective of well, what about this? Or I understand now this is why that happened. And maybe I can forgive myself for something that's been weighing on me. Or maybe I can see a door where before there was just a wall. And so, really, especially for those who've never experienced psychedelics before, one session is enough to kind of, I always say, kind of like once you've opened or expanded your mind, you can't really just close it back up. And so there will be neuroplasticity, there will be expansion of the mind of some way. And then the other piece of it that's so important is the integration. So, that could certainly involve more psilocybin or plant medicine sessions, but it's also kind of looking at, well, now you have this new insight. Now you have this little gift that you've been given by this journey, and what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to kind of leave it as this memory, this little bubble in time that can think back on, or are you going to find ways to take the insights that you've gained and apply them into your life, and apply them into your relationships? And so I always do an integration session with my clients as well, where we really talk through, what came up in the session, what was challenging, what was surprising, how can you look at the way that you went through this journey and maybe see parallels to how you handle other situations in your life. And what small and big steps can you take to make shifts or kind of carry on that healing past the journey itself.
I love that, and it feels like the integration part brings a lot of coaching support to the experience.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And the way that it is, the way that the psilocybin kind of facilitation has been set up, and I really like this, and I agree with this methodology as well, is that myself as a facilitator, I'm not a guide, and I'm not a therapist in this role. So really what I'm there to do is to hold space and make sure that the person who's doing the journey feels safe and that they feel supported, and that I'm there for anything that they need. So it's not, when they come in for the preparation as well as the journey itself, it's not a talk therapy session. I'm not telling them, what to think about or guiding their journey, but I'm there for whatever they need. So if they want to talk through what's coming up, if they need a hand to hold, if they need a drink of water, I'm there. And the learning and the deep healing, I see it. And in my training, I learned as well that it's really between the journeyer and the psilocybin. And it's really utilizing this tool of the psilocybin to unlock these deep knowings and wisdom and inspiration and creativity from within themselves. And I don't see myself as this healer that's gonna go in there and fix them. They're not broken. They don't need to be fixed. They're just looking for these answers, and I'm there to support them as they find those within themselves.
It's really beautiful. It makes me think. So I also had only this experience with psychedelics, which was the Soltara one. I went to Costa Rica, and I was so scared. And the very fact that there was a team of people to support, but not, as you were saying, to guide, because there was so much reverence for the plant, and it was palpable in them as a team and in the maestros, in the shamans, and that made me feel reassured and also a bit scared of the fact that it will be between me and my mind opened through ayahuasca.
Yeah, that's so understandable. And I remember being terrified before I did my first plant medicine ceremonies, and so many of those who've come to work with plant medicine, both when I worked at the ayahuasca retreat center and now the psilocybin, they feel nervous, they feel, yeah, scared even. And, I always just let them know that that's so understandable. This is a new experience. And like I was talking about before, we might meet things that are uncomfortable, and memories we don't want to think about, feelings we don't want to feel, emotions that we push down because they are hard to feel. And so that's why a lot of what I do to help them prepare is the grounding, is the very gentle breathing practices and ways that they can come back to a grounded space. So if they're going through a time during the journey that's challenging, kind of taking that moment to ground, it's not to ignore that. It's not like, oh, no, 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 I'm going back to comfort because, I don't want to feel that. But it's this philosophy of pendulation. So, with a pendulum, it swings from one side to the next. And if we start where we normally are, which is probably like, in the middle between resourced and completely unresourced. And then, we're like, oh, I'm going to go into this really intense thing. We can just kind of swing off into too much intensity. So if we find this spot that's like, okay, I'm safe, I'm grounded, I'm strong, then from there we can swing over to feel something that feels uncomfortable or tough. And we can look at it in this strong and grounded way. And then when it starts to get too much, come back to home, come back to safety, get strong, and then feel and release another layer, and then come back. And a lot of times that's just so much more soothing and easy for our nervous systems to do. And it really, I find, makes for longer lasting healing that we can stick to and really take with us into our lives.
Yeah. And I think it's really beautiful also because I've never experienced the incarnation of surrender as I did on that retreat, right? Like surrender, how in our industry, or like the spaces that I frequent as a coach are filled with like keywords, right? Like, oh, surrender, yeah. Just let it. Well, I I understood there, like on a visceral level, that there is no other way than surrendering. And I could see it a lot in the journeys because we had 4 journeys. The stronger the resistance, the more the wisdom of the plant is gonna help you break the resistance into surrender, right? Or like break the resistance through surrender.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's 100%. Yeah, it's like, I love the way that you put that, because it's like with so many things, we can understand them logically. Like, oh, I need to surrender, I need to surrender to pleasure, surrender to love, trust, all of this. But yeah, working with psychedelics, and I believe breath work as well, to a more gentle level, can also take us there. But, when we're working with this powerful psychedelic medicine, it's yeah, it's like surrender is the thing. And yeah, I find that when the more that we can do so, and the more we can use our breath and use our tools to do so, the deeper that we can go. And sometimes when people have more of a challenging time, it's when they're fighting against that, which, I want to kind of normalize, because it's, it makes sense why people would do that. But, the more that we feel or see something and we say, oh, no, 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 not that, I don't want to do that, and fight against it, the more that we're going to have the discomfort and the challenge. And so I really like to also tell the people that I'm working with this key phrase, which is, yes, thank you more. And so as they're dropping into the experience, whatever comes, you know, the tendency again might be to say, oh, no, not that, no thanks, you know, and to say yes to whatever comes and to see how much we can just allow that and to say thank you and to come back to this space of gratitude of, wow, I get to experience this and I get to explore this. And gratitude is this beautiful high vibration we can bring ourselves back to, and then to even say more. So to see, you know, if something scary is looming within our journey, what is that? You know, can I get curious about that? And can I move towards it instead of away? And so I feel that is very helpful, and as well as just kind of looking at anything that comes up in the journey as part of it. So, for example, if someone's feeling nauseous, you know, the tendency can be like, oh, I can't enjoy my journey because I'm nauseous and it's distracting me and it's getting in the way. And so this is kind of looking instead at, well, what if the nausea is a thing? And what if how I react to this nausea and this discomfort, what if that is a thing that we're working with? Because here it is. And so, yeah, how can I be with that? And how can I, you know, learn from that? Like you said, the surrender and the presence in the moment.
Yeah, that's a beautiful segue into Tantra, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what Tantra essentially, I love it because nobody can give a definition, and I struggle because I have a very not scientific but just kind of like a masculine perspective on a lot of things. So there is a huge struggle, right, to define things. But I felt through the Vita certification that we both underwent, that it was more the experience of Tantra and kind of bringing curiosity to all the aspects of life, and understanding that I have a predilection towards things, and I see it a lot in my clients also. And that does not mean that that's the best thing that could happen. It might just be the fact that I created this desirability in relationship to certain things, and more challenges or a more challenging relationship to other things. So I would love for you to speak about your experience as a sex, love, and relationships coach, and how you are helping people in that dimension.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of as I mentioned at the beginning, I have these different tools and these different modalities that I've explored. And it's interesting to really see and to feel the parallels between them as well, because when I'm guiding my clients in a coaching methodology, it's very similar as well, because we're really exploring what's going on in the body, what's going on in the subconscious mind, what's going on in our energy and all parts of ourselves as well. And so one of the first reasons why I became attracted to doing this was because within my own body, I was very, very disconnected. I was incredibly disconnected from my pleasure. I was living in this incredibly hypervigilant state at all times. And once I started to discover breath work and started to really feel into my sexual, sensual life force energy and really feel how I have the power to connect with that and to use it to energize myself and to clear blocks from the different power centers within my body. I started doing this in kind of a tantric focused realm, but I started to realize, like, wow, this is affecting my entire life in huge ways. And this is so powerful as well. And I myself personally have gotten to these places with tantric practices and breath work where I'm not even touching my body at all, but I'm in this kind of full body orgasm, high vibration state. And so the more that I started realizing the power that we have within ourselves, I wanted to share that as well. And the fact that we can use this energy to not only reconnect and heal with ourselves, but also to connect deeply with others as well. And so, yeah, there's this piece of healing the body, connecting with the sexual energy, and then also, yeah, doing work with our inner child, learning, what that part of ourselves needs. And again, going instead of, oh, I feel like crying and there's no reason, there must be something wrong with me. Instead, taking the time to do what might be counterintuitive and checking in and saying, oh, where is that part of myself that feels tearful and upset? Can I spend even just a few minutes, crying or rocking and holding that part of myself and asking her what she needs? And yeah, then can I also choose to connect with the part of myself that's, whatever I need to get done, I'm going to go teach a workshop. I'm going to connect with my empowered queen who knows exactly how to do that. And so, yeah, I feel very, very similar modalities in many ways to working with plant medicine, but it's kind of, finding the tools that we already have within ourselves and harnessing those to take care of and heal and empower ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. What is your biggest dream for your personal life, for your professional life, and how does it relate with the ways that you are supporting people on their own journeys?
Yeah, well, when I was traveling the world, that was one of my favorite things ever. I love going to new places and connecting with people there. And I just love how, even though different places, of course, have their own flavors and flair, that there's people everywhere who are focusing on their inner healing and empowerment. And so my dream that I'm already kind of already in, but moving towards more every day as well, is to continue with traveling and having this network of healers and teachers and healing sanctuaries worldwide, and really continuing to support others in their healing journey on a large scale. So last year, I actually co-hosted my first healing retreat in Costa Rica. And it was just a really beautiful space for those who want to step away from their entire life for a week and really just go into this healing cocoon sanctuary, which is right by the beach and right by the healing magic of nature. And my co-host is, she does yoga and movement medicine and music medicine. And then I bring in the breath work and the inner child healing and somatic healing. And we have daily workshops and also have lots of time for integration and rest. And so, just offering kind of like these large scale healing experiences, but then also having a full range of offerings as well. Some people can't get away from their life for a week and go to Costa Rica. And so offering anything from, a 5-minute free meditation that's a vacation into pleasure, to low-cost workshops, to kind of sliding scale offerings, and really just making sure that I can support as many people as possible in the ways that make sense and fit for their life at the time.
I love that. Yeah. What do you find most rewarding in your work?
One of the things that I find the most rewarding is just seeing the transformations that are possible for people. And this includes myself, because obviously healing is a journey that is lifelong, and never ever will I say, okay, well, I'm healed now, time to move on. It's so satisfying because it is a journey. But one of the things that I I must admit that I've struggled with and still am working on is celebrating along the way. And of course, we learned about this in Vita, and I feel that it's so powerful. Is, instead of just constantly moving forward, okay, I did that, what's next, to turn around and really see how far we've come. And so I love to do that with myself, looking back to when I started, when I was so closed off. I had walls around my heart and pussy and was terrified of connection. I heavily relied on substances to, feel like I was worthy, and was in this state of constant anxiety and fear and needing to prove myself. And, just really being able to celebrate that I'm here now and what I have built and what I have healed. And then from that place, being able to celebrate those who work with me as well. And I have people who come for a 3-hour workshop, and that might be the one time that I see them. And even just seeing them at the beginning and then at the end, and just seeing this new light in their eyes, or they come up and they share this aha moment or the shift that they feel in their body, and being able to celebrate that with them. And then all the way up to, I have clients who've worked with me for over 3 years. And when I get to see them over that larger amount of time, I can tell that sometimes they have the same thing with me, where they're like, well, has anything changed? I'm still not here. And I used to be here, and now I'm in the middle, and I still am not here. And just reminding them, do you remember when you had this situation come up and it was a huge trigger for you, and it kind of ruined your week last year, and now the same thing came up, and look at how you handled it. And, just reminding people that change is possible, healing is possible, and you don't have to accept the trauma, the wounding, the limiting beliefs, the life that you've come from as the way that things will always be. And so, yeah, I just love supporting people through those transformations.
I love that. I love the contribution part, and also the thing that you mentioned about making it financially available for people. I think it's probably part of my own wounding. So I started on this self-development path by collaborating with a Buddhist organization and leading meditation around Europe. And there was a huge focus on receiving donations, like this kind of relationship that already with money and with wealth was quite frail. It became even more ruptured. And I can recognize that in my body when I see these like huge prices for retreats. I experience a contraction, regardless of being able or not, or being willing or not to invest in that. And I do hope that we are kind of all bringing together the consciousness of supporting people and making it okay to live fully and create abundance and create wealth and help other people, like this regenerative type of economy. It was just something that popped up into my mind as I was hearing you speak to that.
Yeah, it really is a balance for sure, because I work with a lot of clients who do have, and I have worked with myself as well, of having, these limiting beliefs about charging for our gifts and, receiving abundance. But then also, recognizing that not everyone has that level of financial abundance as well. And so I have found that the sliding scale approach works really well. And that when I do that for many of my offerings, some who can, they pay the highest amount and they're happy to, and some don't, and some even trade, with other ways. And so, but a certain level of trust, has to has to be there in order to charge that sliding scale. And of course, we have to take care of ourselves and make sure that we're also not falling into just giving, 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 and then not having anything left for ourselves, which then, of course, we can't give to others too. So it is definitely a balance that I'm still, constantly exploring.
Yeah, thank you for your vulnerable and honest share. I'm curious about who inspired you or who is inspiring you today and throughout your journey.
Yeah, definitely. I'm inspired. I mean, there's so many people that I'm inspired by, but I would say just in general on a larger scale, just women who are out there following their dreams and yeah, just persevering and not letting the limitations of our society hold them back and tell them what is and what isn't possible. My moms, I have two moms who raised me, and they have inspired me a ton just by being out there. They both own their own businesses, and yeah, they were in the healing modalities and fields as well. And it's just been really, really amazing for me to be able to look up to them and to always have their support, because, it's not always easy, especially kind of being on the cutting edge of things with psychedelic healing and sexuality, and getting my posts deleted off social media, and having people misinterpret what I do, and the different judgments of those who don't really understand. And I know that some out there doing similar work don't even have the support of their family. And so I'm very inspired by those who really listen to their own intuition, their own hearts, and yeah, just keep going, but also know when to take a rest too, which I'm still working on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Francesca. This was amazing. I'm curious, and probably the listeners are also. Where can we find you online? How can we connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. So my website is just francescaloux.com. And yeah, Instagram, francesca.loux, Facebook as well. And yeah, on my website, there's more information about my story as well as my offerings. And like we've been talking about, different ways to work with me, all the way from free meditations to one-on-one coaching to psilocybin journeys to the Costa Rica retreat, which we're going to be offering again in October of this year.
That sounds amazing. And all the things are going to be added to the notes of the show.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your light and your truth and your heart with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to chat with you about all of this awesomeness, and so nice to be here.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
The best way to support the Healer Hub podcast is to review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and share it with your people. Thank you so much. Deeply grateful for your support.